Most people misunderstand strength. They think it is shown through action, through force, through dominance, through reaction. But real strength often appears in restraint. Strength is revealed in what you refuse to do, the words you choose not to say, the anger you decide not to release, the impulse you allow to pass. Anyone can react. Reaction is easy. The insult arrives. You respond immediately. The frustration builds. You release it outward. The impulse appears. You obey it. This is not power, it is surrender. Because reaction means the moment controls you. When someone provokes you and you explode, they are not witnessing your strength. They are witnessing your lack of control. The Stoics understood this deeply. The man who cannot control his impulses is not strong. He is exposed. The strongest person in the room is often the quietest, not because they are passive, because they are deliberate. They choose their response instead of releasing it automatically. Restraint requires awareness. Awareness requires discipline, and discipline requires strength. It is easy to interrupt someone. It is harder to listen. It is easy to retaliate. It is harder to remain composed. It is easy to indulge desire. It is harder to refuse it. The world celebrates visible strength, but invisible strength is what sustains a person. Consider the moments where your character is tested, an insult in public, a disagreement that becomes personal, a surge of anger when something goes wrong. In those moments, you have two choices: release the impulse or contain it. Containment is strength, because containment requires control over yourself, and self-control is the foundation of all discipline. Without it, intelligence becomes manipulation. Without it, ambition becomes recklessness. Without it, confidence becomes arrogance. Restraint protects you from becoming ruled by your own impulses. When you learn to pause before reacting, you reclaim authority over your behavior. The strongest people are not those who overpower others. They are those who govern themselves. Because the hardest thing to control in the world is not an enemy. It is your own mind. Strength begins the moment you realize you do not have to act on every impulse. Most weakness is impulsive. It moves fast. It reacts instantly. It obeys emotion the moment it appears. Anger rises, words follow, frustration builds, action explodes, desire appears, indulgence follows. The sequence feels natural, but it is not discipline. It is reflex. Reflexive people believe they are being honest. They say, "I'm just being real." What they mean is, they have not learned control, because control requires delay. The pause between stimulus and response is where strength lives. Not in the reaction itself, but in the space before it. That space is invisible, and most people never train it. When irritation appears, they release it. When temptation appears, they follow it. When pressure appears, they panic. Each time, the impulse wins. But discipline expands that space. A fraction of a second becomes a moment. A moment becomes a decision. A decision becomes character. The person with restraint is not suppressing emotion. They are governing it. They still feel anger. They still feel frustration. They still feel desire. But feeling something does not require obeying it. This is where quiet authority begins. The ability to experience emotion without becoming controlled by it. When you master this, something changes. You become less predictable, less reactive, less easily provoked. And the world loses leverage over you. If someone can make you angry on command, they control your behavior. If someone can provoke you into impulsive action, they control your direction. Restraint removes that leverage. The calm person in the room is not passive. They are stable, and stability is intimidating because it cannot be manipulated easily. The absence of reaction is often interpreted as weakness. In reality, it is containment. Contained strength, contained emotion, contained judgment. A person who does not need to prove their control already has it. Consider how often people speak when silence would serve them better. How often they escalate when patience would strengthen their position. How often they chase satisfaction when restraint would sharpen them. Each impulse is an invitation. Most accept immediately. Strength appears when you decline the invitation, when you refuse the argument, when you ignore the provocation, when you let the moment pass without acting on it. Not because you cannot respond, because you choose not to. And that choice reveals something powerful. You are no longer governed by impulse. You are governed by intention. If this message resonates with you, like and subscribe for more content like this. This channel is built for people who are done waiting.
Most people measure strength incorrectly.
They look for what someone does, the argument they win, the dominance they display, the reaction they unleash. But these things are loud, and loud things often hide instability. Real strength rarely announces itself. It reveals itself through restraint, through decisions no one sees, through actions that never happen, the message you never send, the argument you never enter, the anger you never release. These moments leave no evidence, which is why most people overlook them. But character is built in those invisible decisions, not in performance, in restraint. Consider how often the world invites you into reaction, provocation, disrespect, temptation. Each one asks the same question: will you obey the impulse? Most people answer immediately. They defend themselves instantly. They retaliate quickly. They justify their emotion as authenticity. But authenticity without discipline becomes chaos. The person who can hold their reaction holds their power, because the moment they refuse to react automatically, they regain control over the situation. Reaction gives the moment authority. Restraint takes it back. The strongest individuals develop a habit of non-reaction, not indifference, control. They see the insult. They understand the provocation. They feel the emotional surge. And then they choose silence, or patience, or distance. That decision changes everything, because power that does not need to prove itself feels immovable. A person who refuses to react impulsively cannot be easily destabilized. Their calm becomes structure. Their restraint becomes gravity. This is why the Stoics placed such emphasis on governing the self. If you cannot control your impulses, you will always be controlled by circumstance. The world will push, people will provoke, situations will demand response. But response is not the same as reaction. Reaction is automatic. Response is chosen. And the difference between the two defines maturity. The quiet proof of strength appears in restraint, not the action you took, the action you refused. Over time, this discipline compounds. You become less reactive, less distracted, less emotionally hijacked by the moment. You become stable. And stability is rare because most people are governed by impulse. Strength is not shown by dominating others. It is shown by mastering yourself. And mastery is proven through restraint.
Strength matures through refusal.
Not refusal of effort, refusal of impulse. There will always be invitations, arguments that pull you in, insults that demand retaliation, temptations that promise quick satisfaction. The world constantly tests your restraint, and every test asks the same question. Will you act because you choose to, or because the moment pushed you? When you begin to govern yourself, something changes. You stop reacting immediately. You pause. You observe. You decide. That pause is where discipline lives. Most people never build that space. Impulse moves faster than awareness. Emotion overrides intention. Reaction becomes habit. But the disciplined person strengthens the pause. They widen the space between feeling and action. And inside that space, freedom appears. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel. Freedom is not being controlled by what you feel. When anger rises and you remain composed, you are free. When temptation appears and you decline it, you are free. When provocation arrives and you remain silent, you are free. This freedom is quiet. It does not require an audience. It does not require recognition. It reveals itself through restraint, through decisions that no one else notices. You refuse the unnecessary argument. You refuse the indulgence that weakens you. You refuse the reaction that would damage your character. Each refusal sharpens your control. Over time, something powerful happens. Your impulses lose authority. Your emotions lose the ability to command your behavior. Your reactions become deliberate. You stop being ruled by the moment. And when the moment no longer controls you, neither do the people inside it. The strongest person in any room is rarely the loudest. It is the one who cannot be easily provoked, the one who cannot be manipulated through emotion, the one who chooses action deliberately. Strength is not always visible. Often, it appears in restraint, in silence, in the decision to do nothing when impulse demands something. That restraint is discipline, and discipline becomes character. If this clarified something for you, like the video, subscribe, then practice the discipline of refusal.